Okay, now we are going to, I'm going to get you guys started on making your pieces in SketchUp, making your puzzle pieces, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a piece. Sorry, it just went away here. Let's reload it. All right, we're going to look at a piece that I made. Okay, and if you're lucky enough to actually have the exact same piece, then you can kind of, follow along with this and do the same thing. But this is one of my pieces to the cube that I have in my classroom that I use all the time. And remember, we're working in millimeters, right? And we kind of discussed that when we built these things, we made them with those unit cubes, right? And so this is like one block right here. This is a block. This is a block. And these are two blocks on top of each other. And when we talked about it, we said we're going to make each block, we're going to give each block a value of 20 millimeters, right? And the reason we're working in millimeters is because millimeters is a lot easier to input in than like decimals of inches and things like that. And then this way we're going to have minimal decimals. We'll have some, but we won't have a lot. And then also it's pretty close to the size of what it would be if we left, if we were able to actually make them actually the same size as the blocks that we modeled these out of. So with that being said, when we dimension these, right, and that's what we've been doing the past couple days. When we dimension them, we try to figure out, how long the sides would be, keeping in mind that we're putting a little gap between each spot where blocks meet, right? And so where blocks meet, and I call those a joint, right? So like for here, for instance, right? And this is a top view of this part, right? You've got this block bumping into this block, right? So this space right here where they bump into each other, we're going to give that zero point 0.3 or 3/10 of a millimeter space between that. So that means that you this length, when we figure out this length, which is this right here, right? You've got one block and two blocks. So if each block is 20 millimeters, that means this is 40 millimeters. And then we factor in that space, right? And that space is 0.3. So if you add that all up, you go 40 plus 0.3, it's 40.3 millimeters, okay? And so you found when you went through and did this that you kind of had a lot of the same sort of measurements going on, right? Um, and so what I want to do when I first make my block is I want to make a large. I'm going to show you guys how to do this with subtraction. We're going to make the entire block, and then we're going to carve out and pull off what we don't need, right? And I think you'll find that that's probably the easiest. I think that's easier than adding. Okay, I think the subtraction method works better, and you'll see what I mean in a second when I start doing it. So what I need to do is I need to figure out what are the overall dimensions of the block. If this were just like a regular fat, rectangle or whatever, I don't know what's going on here. But if this were just a regular rectangle, right, this would be 3 blocks this way and 2 blocks this way. Okay, so let's go to SketchUp. All right, and I got SketchUp pulled up, and the first thing we're gonna have to do, guys, is you're gonna have to really. First of all, you're gonna have to make sure that your measurements are in millimeters. Okay, and there's a whole video on how to do that. Second thing you want to do is you want to grab this orbit tool, right? And you want to put it kind of in the area where you're going to be working, which is down here in the corner. And then you want to start zooming in, and you want to put that orbit tool in the area you're zooming to, okay? Because otherwise it will zoom you somewhere else. I'm going to turn a little bit. I'm going to go like this. I'll move it back. We're going to keep zooming in. All right. And now I am going to, let's see, we'll zoom in here a little to move this a little. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my rectangle tool. Okay. I'm going to put it in the corner here. I'm going to move it, make sure I've got my millimeters. And I do have my millimeters. All right. And so the first piece I'm making, right, is 3 blocks by 2 blocks. All right. So I'm going to, 3 blocks is 60 millimeters. There's 2 joints in between there, right? So that's 0.3 plus 0.3, that's 0.6. So I want this block to be 60.6 millimeters long going from left to right, and then I want it to be 40.3 going from up to down. All right. So what I'm going to do is, remember, when you pull on this, and if you just take your hand off the pad, I'm just going to put the numbers in. So I'm going to go 60.6, and then I'm going to go comma 40.3 Okay, and then you click enter, and then this is the shape I have to work with. Okay, so this is like if I didn't take anything out, right? So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the push pull. Okay, I'm going to touch it, and then I'm going to start moving it up, and then the total height we're going to work with, right? This goes up a total of 2 blocks. So if it goes up 2 blocks and you have one joint between it, that's 20 plus 20, which is 40, and then that 0.3. So it's 40.3. So I'm going to go 40.3 millimeters, hit enter, and then we've got this, we've got this block here that is freaking out right now. So I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit that. Okay. And so I'm going to grab my pointer tool, switch over to the orbit, and we're going to go like this, and we're going to pull it up kind of like this so we can sort of look at it. All right, so this is my block. And if you're not sure if you made it the right side, grab your measuring tool, right? And let's just check it, right? So I'm going like this. I'm going endpoint to endpoint. That says, oh, about 61 millimeters, right? And so I'm going, right? No, it should be 60.6, right? So let's see, maybe it just doesn't give us those measurements, those itty bitty ones, right? And you go up here, this says about 40, right? Well, I know it's 40.3, right? I put those in, we lifted it up, everything's all good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at our shape again, right? And realize that, okay, it starts, this is on the ground level right here. This is kind of my top view of what I need. I know I need nothing in here, right? And I also know that there's just one block sticking out here. So when I create this, right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil tool, I'm going to go here, I'm going to click on it, I'm going to start moving over, and then I'm going to type in 20 millimeters, right? And then I'm going to hit enter. And then that's going to show me an endpoint. It's going to give me that right there. So I take this, I click on it, it's there, and then I'm going to pull that down to the front, okay? I'm going to tap on it, I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to carry it over there, okay? So now I've got this kind of sections, right, the way I need it. So I know I'm going to be taking some of this out, and so now let's look at the drawing again. And it looks like it's one block going this way from the back. So I'm going to do that same thing, but I'm going to go 20 from the back. So I'm going to go endpoint, start bringing it this way, type in 20, hit your thing, and then find your endpoint, and then carry it straight across, and make sure that thing stays red, because like if you move it, you know how it goes black there. But if it stays red, that means it's parallel and you're in good shape. So I'll go here. And don't worry if your lines cross and everything. We'll figure all that out. All right, and we'll get rid of things in a second. Okay, so now if you look at the drawing again, all right, you see there's nothing here, right? There's nothing here. So I can pull this whole piece right here and just get rid of it right away. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go push pull. I'm going to tap on this. I'm going to take it and I'm going to start to go down. I'm going to remember my height was 40.3 millimeters. So I'm going to go 40.3 millimeters is the distance. I want to push pull it down. And when you do that, it completely wipes it out, gets rid of it. All right, so we're one step closer to what we need now. All right, so let's look at our photo again. It looks like it goes in one block here. This is 20 by 20 right here. So I am going to grab my line tool. We'll click here. Then we're going to go over 20. So I'll go 20, type in millimeters, boom, and then go until I see where it's got my point There we go. There's my endpoint. I'm going to click on it, and it should be green when I bring it across, right? And it is, all right? And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring it straight down, and it should be blue this time because that's the axes, right? Go like that. Let's check my measurement, make sure it's right. So go from here to here, and it's 20 millimeters. So we're in good shape. Okay, so now let's look at the drawing again. And we can see here that we want to get rid of all of this right here. And this is all 20 millimeters high. And it looks like we've got, you know, the rest of the plan kind of set on that. So let's figure out how to do that. So let's grab our pencil. We're going to start here, our endpoint. We're going to go up 20 millimeters because that's how high the block has to be, right? So I go up. We're going to put an endpoint here. And we're going to just take this across. We'll go right here. Stop. Okay. And then we should be able to pull it this way, right? But we don't know if that's accurate or not. So we're going to just go here. We're going to go up and we're going to do the same thing. We'll go 20 millimeters. Hit that. Take it till it comes up, puts us to the endpoint. We'll click here. We'll go over here to this. Click on the edge. And now, when I click on this again, I should be able to pull it right over to this, right? And you can see it's perfect because it was green, right? So I've got this, I've got enough here now where let's try the push-pull and see if we can get rid of some of this stuff. So let's take this. Now this should just move this block right here. Yeah, and it does. And so we know that this bottom block here has to be 20 millimeters tall. And the whole thing's 40.3, so we want to go 20.3 millimeters down. And so you hit enter, and it should take us right to that line. All right, so stop on that and just hit that, right? We don't want to do that. And then we're going to do that for both of these, right? So just click on that, start it, hit 20.3 millimeters, tap on it, bring it down, 20.3. You got to always get it started before you put in your measurements, all right? And now we're going to hit the pointer tool so it doesn't do anything here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to check our measurements really quick, all right? I know this should be 40.3, so remember it's going to be silly and it's going to say, oh, it's like almost 40, right? And that's what it says. It says approximately 40 because it's 40.3, right? We'll go over here. That says it's 20. That's nice. So we'll start there, right? And then we'll carry this over to here. And it says almost 61 because it's 60.6 and it rounds it. Okay, that's cool. I can deal with that. Let's check this right here. So we go from there to there. This should be 20, right? And it is. So that's awesome. And this dimension right here, if we go straight across this block, should also be 20. And it is. Check this one. This should be 20. It is. Let's check this dimension right here. We can go from midpoint to midpoint. That's 20 as well. So this is what we wanted. This is the size we wanted. I'm going to erase some of these measuring lines here. Okay, and so now what I can do, and the last thing I got to do, otherwise it's going to be weird, is I get rid of these lines. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna get rid of you. We're gonna get rid of this one right here. We're gonna get rid of these two lines on the face, and then I'm going to grab my orbit tool, and we are going to go around and make sure that everything is okay. Okay, that looks fine. This side looks good. Okay, go this way. This looks great, right? It looks good. Last thing you want to do is you want to go under it and you want to make sure that's solid, because if it's not, then you're going to have a problem when you print this thing, right? It's not going to look very good. And so now we've got one completed shape, right? And it really doesn't take that long once you get started on it, and you can kind of come out, zoom out a little bit, and turn it so you can sort of see it, right? We don't have to do anything fancy to it. You know, the measurements are right. We checked it. We got everything. We double checked the went around it, and so um, this is the approach you are going to take when you make pieces on here, right? So you're going to have to, really rely on your pictures and on what you know about the widths and lengths of these blocks, and it should be fun. All right, so happy SketchUp planning, and I will be giving you another little video in a little while of how we want you to kind of have these put together when you're working on these with another person. Okay, so we will cross that bridge later. So get started on making these and enjoy yourself.